So there was an attempt to bring out a local scheme. And the local scheme had all these promises attached, including ensuring that international players or stakeholders charge in Naira, so to reduce pressure on FX, amongst other things. Do you think that that will solve the African problem for acceptance? There is no point issuing an international card for a domestic use case pricing. So the issuers pass on their costs from schemes to the cardholders in the monthly card maintenance they charge, everything in place. What exactly does GTP do and the products for fintechs? Of fintech zones in Africa, or without an exception, everybody has an FX problem, especially 2023, right? So what's the way forward? What are your thoughts on the emerging issuance concerns? Every other continent, right? Do they have the same problems we have with chargebacks and failed transactions? Are we just realizing that, we need to find the operations around this, or is it the same thing, around the world? So from payment architecture, the design, previously we used to have dual message types and then single message types, right? And for dual message types, there's this pre-auth thing that goes to check if you have funds, have a lien on the funds, right? So that when the debit comes, it knows that it's debiting money. We started off with that in Africa, Nigeria at some point, and then, we just moved to single messages. If we were to bring back pre-auth, can it be a way to solve this insufficient funds thing? What do you think? So the largest country in Africa at the beginning of the year attempted, let me say attempt, because I don't know if any other person here has news of our beloved card. We don't. So there was an attempt to bring out a local scheme. And the local scheme had all these promises attached, including ensuring that international players or stakeholders charge in Naira, so to reduce pressure on FX, amongst other things. Do you think that that will solve the African problem for acceptance?
It's a good question. In Nigeria, we have a domestic card scheme, which you work there. And today, it's issued more cards than anybody else, okay? Now, if it is good and it serves a purpose, people will use it. That's what I've found. Now, domestically, today, it makes no sense for me to use an international card scheme for a domestic transaction. The economics don't play out. It just doesn't play out today, okay? But what alternative do I have, okay? Now, fortunately for us, we have, a domestic card scheme that actually works well. In some other areas, that is not the case, because it's a technology-driven thing. I remember the beginning, there are some dodgy things there where the crypto, was not working. People were fraud. So all of those are the things that the international card schemes have as an edge to say, hey, look, we're tried, we're tested, we're state of the art, everything is bam, bam, bam. But yes, domestic card schemes have a part to play. In some countries like Brazil, they have their own, and they've been in India, they have their own as well. But if fundamentally it serves a purpose, it actually works. It works from the issuing side and it works from the acquiring side. The challenge has always been that if you give people this card, where can I use it? So if they can fix that, they can fix the acquiring and the technology. Today, there's no reason why the technology shouldn't be state of the art. Even if you call it a domestic card scheme, you can get someone outside to give you the engine to run it, okay? That has a real proper engine. And it's now the cost. Can you bring down the cost to such that it doesn't, people aren't looking for FX, So there is a play. So domestically, if it's like mobile money, mobile money is relatively cheap, for people to do. So if we can get a domestic card scheme like that, that is, accepted across board, that is the key. The challenge is it's not being accepted. I don't know what happened with the one that we tried to do a lot of fanfare, but maybe a lot of politics as well. But yes, there is a role, and it can help if it's done properly.
Okay. So just to highlight one of the things you said, there is no point issuing an international card for a domestic use case, just in case any of your fintechs organizations are trying to do so for a vibe check. You know, all your customers, you're focused on merchants in Nigeria or some other parts of Africa, and you want to do the Visa, MasterCard. Well, if it's across Africa, there's a use case for that. But you're doing FMCG merchants in Nigeria, please look for a domestic card, right?
No, really, you're right. Otherwise, it just the numbers won't make sense. It won't make sense. Yeah.
The second thing you said, very, very important, is also that the technology, if the technology is working or not. And when we say technology, we're not just talking about where you issue or produce the cards from. It's also how you distribute the cards, so how you fund the cards, so how you personalize the cards if they're going to be in plastic, and how you activate the cards, you know, what kind of PIN activation methods are you using? All these things have systems. All the systems are in dollars, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. I mean, that's the truth. You know, all these things, it takes more than just saying we want to do it. You know, there's a whole lot that goes in the back end to make sure that the framework can stand the test of time. You know, so, but it's possible. It's possible. You know, that's the kind of thing that government can subsidize. Because look, 200 million people in Nigeria, we have, you know, how many 40 million bank accounts, how many cards? There is room for scale. If you can scale, then the cost of these things begin to come down. You understand? You know, but we have to be serious about it. It's not just a white elephant project that somebody wants to, well, you know.
Shots fired. What's on your wish lists for payment cards in Africa? What would you like to see from everything you've experienced so far?
So this cost thing has become a real issue. Let me tell you a story. When GSM came out, I remember because I bought a SIM for 25,000 naira.
Wow.
And I bought a phone, Sajem, for 25,000 naira. That month, I didn't eat. I don't think I ate. Maybe it was Gary. I was smoking. You know. Yes, it was Econet and MTN. Now, and one of the things that they did was they charged us by the minute. So if I call you for just 10 seconds, Oga Adekomu, I go see you tomorrow. They'll charge me for a minute for a call that lasted 10 seconds. It was, I mean, they were taking, you know, advantage. Then a third entrant came in, and they cut the price of their SIM cards, but more importantly, they started charging per second. So that thing that the other two couldn't do or refused to do, because a third guy came in and introduced it, what happened? The others also had to do the same, because people were just moving. They're moving en masse. I mean, it makes sense. Why would you charge me for a minute? So let me take that back to the card scheme. So today we have the two major ones. This is one coin, and both, you know, two sides of the same coin. They have slightly different pricing models, but it's essentially the same thing. Now, what they're giving us in Africa is not suited to Africa.
Yes, 100%.
It's not suited to Africa. It's a model that is suited to the West. Okay. We here in Africa, it's very low cost. We have a lot of people who are not financially capable, they're excluded. And at the same time, you're trying to get fintechs who can reach these bottom of the pyramid people, and you're bringing them into a costly model. You know, it's not, you know, the two don't really go. So how can they relook at that pricing model to do something that is customized for Africa? Because the truth is, the average guy will not reduce his own income. So if I'm making 100, why will I on my own say I want to make 80? Because that's what it means if I reduce my pricing. But that is a short-term view. Because at 100, maybe I'm capturing 10%. If I reduce my pricing, I can capture 50%. And that 50% will by far make up for what I would reduce, lose for my pricing was to reduce. So for me, it's still not sure whether they're ready to do that, to have a different pricing model for Africa. Sometimes it needs something external to force you to change, and that's why you have a lot of fintechs who are doing their own thing. They're trying to, as much as possible, create systems that are not card based. Unfortunately, now everyone wants to do e-commerce, so and you're talking about mobile money as well, trying to make it more internationally acceptable, where you can use it on e-commerce sites. But for me, it is, let us actually sit down, and say, look, it's too expensive. This model is too expensive for Africa. But the market is there. If you rework this model, what we're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many more customers that you can bring in and we'll all make money from, if we can just rework the pricing model that we have for the international schemes. So yeah, that is what I would like to see. I'd like to see that frank discussion about looking at the model so that it's a win-win, because right now only some people are winning. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll open up the comment section for one or two questions. I've tried to answer one of the questions in the comments. So virtual cards is cheaper to issue. To operate is another discussion. Somebody said something about pricing. So the issuers pass on their costs from schemes to the cardholders in the monthly card maintenance they charge.
They're beginning to do so now. You see, in the past, it wasn't too significant because people weren't flying e-commerce transactions like water anymore. I mean, in the past, it was just a few transactions, but now, like I said, in a month, 300,000 failed transactions. And it adds up because the bank sees the cost line now every month. Every month you see it and you do an investigation. Where is this money coming from? Oh, it's coming from. And because now, you have bin ranges, there's some things called, settlement hierarchy. So you know where that cost is coming from. You can tell which program it is. So you're able to assign it to the program manager. Say, Oga, come and take your,
take your load.
Yeah, come and take your load. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. So I would like to hear from you about GTP/MFS Africa. You said you've spoken about how you are a processor, but would like to know a bit more, especially for people that would like to discuss further with you and, of course, partner with you to issue a card if they have everything in place. What exactly does GTP do and the products for fintechs? Okay,
I'll just share a slide that just gives a bit of a high level, and then I'll MFS Africa is an aggregator. Basically, what we do is we enable payments across borders. The idea of the company was to make borders matter less. The founder had an idea. He said, how come I can pick up a phone and call my mother in Benin from France, but if I want to send money to her, it's a different ballgame. So he started connecting mobile money operators to fintechs to all across Africa. So here are the products. You have cross-border disbursements. So you want to move money from one country to the other. You want to disburse, okay? Collections as well. So you want to collect. So some of these foreign companies that want to, their subscription models, they want to collect from people, whether they're wallets or bank accounts. We're able to do that. Then you have domestic disbursements. So you're paying salaries, government pensions and things like that. We can enable you to do that, and then you also have the same thing, domestic collection. So we work with MTOs, these are mobile money transfer organizations, mobile money operators. And today we're connected to over 400 mobile wallets, okay? So different government agencies, aggregators as well. So anywhere you want, you can put money on and take money off. We want to be in the mix. And the methods to pay are obviously the wallet, the card, bank account, or cash pickup. let me go back to here to sort of explain. So that's the core of what MFS Africa does. But we also have three within MFS Africa. Baxi is an agency banking cash in, cash out company, one of the biggest in Nigeria. So that's their specialty. GTP is, like I said, originally United. We offer prepaid processing solutions to banks, fintechs. Anyone that wants to issue a card can partner with us, whether it's a physical, virtual, companion card, across the continent. The beauty of the platform is that you don't need too much tech integration. You have a standalone platform. We can work with non-tech companies and tech companies. So if you're a non-tech company, we already have an out-of-the-box solution that you can just use to issue cards. Okay. And if you're a tech company that have APIs, we can do that as well. And then we also have Bionic, which is a company from Uganda, which specializes in SMEs, in enabling them to actually pay and receive payments as well. So that's a nutshell of MFS Africa. We have our website. You can just go there. Anything that has to do with payments in Africa, please reach out to us, and we'll be glad to assist in that way.
Awesome. That's really nice. Now it makes sense because we've been tracking MFS Africa, and you had some major partnerships recently. The partnership with Access Bank, right? Yeah. Connecting those two powerhouses. The partnership with Western Union. Yes. Sounds like these guys are really, they are going to interconnect Africa faster than
that's the plan. That's the plan. We want to make borders matter less. So if I want to send money, I should be able to, want to put the rails there so that everyone can just connect, Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Ike. Thank you very much for your time. And it's a lot of value.